Okay, so take your clay, put it on the newspaper, press it first with your hand, like so, then roll it out on top of the newspaper or sheet of paper. It's best to do this standing up. We want to roll it on top of the newspaper because that way it's much easier to lift it and flip it. And if we roll it directly on the table, it'll stick. So again, kind of keep rolling until you have about, for today's activity, I'm going to keep rolling until I have about a hand's width, like all the way around. Lift, rotate, and roll. Okay. Then the next part of our slab box, there's a variety of different ways we could go about this. One thing we could do is we're going to kind of cut, how big or small you make your slab box is up to you. I'm not going to give you any specific measurements for this because really the process is the important part. But I'm going to start by cutting kind of a larger bottom and doing thinner walls. The problem with the walls is that if they're too high, they're going to flop over. So we just kind of want to make them like maybe like 2 or 3 inches tall. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of, you can either use your knife tool, like so, to cut the clay, or you can take your cardboard and simply press it into the clay to cut it. If you do want to use your knife tool, I would recommend having kind of a guiding edge to make sure that you are cutting next to the sink. On that little shelf there in the red cup, I would recommend using the straight edge so that you cut a straight line. And I'm going to cut maybe like 4 fingers for my bottom. So it'll be like 4 fingers for my bottom, 3 fingers for my sides in terms of width. We have the bottom of our slab box. Now to cut the sides, I already have these measurements on here. I can simply cut. So you want 1 square bottom and 4 rectangular sides, like so. Set them once you're done. Now here's a little trick. Let's say you don't have a piece that's quite big enough, like it's cut off in the corner. You can attach 2 slabs together. Yes, perfect. You score them. Now I'm going to add an extra step to that. I'm going to score. Remember, I'm taking like the rough piece of my knife and like scraping it. But you can also add slip, which is basically, well, in this case, we're just going to use water. So I'm going to I put a little bit of water on my table, dipped it in. So think of the water like glue, and then the scoring kind of increases the surface area, meaning it's like making like glue in between and like little hooks that are grabbing onto each other. So this is a great way if you like need a little extra space. I can just kind of bring these 2 slabs together. So we're going to roll out a coil. Again, just like we did last class. And I think it's kind of, we're going to use it for each corner, so I'm just going to kind of roll a slightly longer coil than I need and just cut off what I want for this particular side. Making it slightly thinner because we're doing smaller boxes is also kind of a good, like I'm making mine pretty thin. So what we're going to do is just like we did before, I'm going to score the sides. They've kind of dried out a little bit, so they should kind of hold their own weight. They're a little stronger. Sometimes it's a good idea to let things dry out a little bit if you want them to, not fall over immediately because they're too wet. And I'm going to score the 2 sides together, maybe even add a little bit of that water in there. Okay, so I attach the 2. Then I'm going to score the inside once again, just scoring that corner, add my coil, boop, cut off what I don't need. This is also a good time to kind of trim the sides. And then I'm going to use Now, many of you during your at-home scavenger hunts found objects like credit cards, things that you can kind of smooth the clay out. You could use the back of your knife too, but you can smooth the clay, supporting it from the back. You can smooth the coil into the slab. We don't want to see that coil, right? We want to have kind of a smooth corner. So I kind of push it up and push it down, and I want to kind of keep blending until that coil disappears. This is sort of, and see, you can't see the coil anymore. I'm going to spray it with just a little bit of water and use my finger. I think I did a little too much water. And use my finger to, again, finalize that. And then this corner is very strong. This slab isn't going anywhere. And so I think it's easier to kind of add the side and add the coil as you go, rather than kind of add all the sides and then add the coils, because then you're not kind of reaching in an awkward angle. So we're going to kind of keep doing this for all 4 sides. And now we have our finished slab boxes. Don't forget to photograph your work and add it to your Google submission slide. Let me know if you have any questions, and good luck.